What's John Barnes and the rest of the National Guard crew up to here?
Well, Jack, we got to touch on why Justin Wilson was thrown out. I think I heard the real reason, and by the way, Robbie Buell, I think that's a great job that you did the math, because I'm not sure Jack would be able to do that with the sets of tires. but the rumor is you were around that car, you dropped your wallet, and unfortunately it landed in the wrong place, and that tipped him over the weight limit.
Are you sure you want to go there? Because we can tell the story in St. Petersburg, on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, where you live, walking around one evening, and I see a guy that looked like a homeless person with a little duffel bag, and lo and behold, it was you. And what did I do?
You gave me $1, which was actually great to see $1 in your wallet. I was proud of you for that, because normally you make everybody else buy it.
What a cheapskate! At least 5. Come on.
Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about the weather conditions today, because while there doesn't seem to be a threat of rain, this wind is starting to maybe have an effect on the performance of these race cars. What do you see so far, and what do you hear?
Well, it's Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's pole day, so it's incredibly intense. And I think with the wind, people want to trim out as much as you can. I mean, realistically, there's there's the Penske cars that seem to be the class of the field right now. But there's always I'm one of them. I always feel like I have a chance at the pole, and you need to keep trimming appropriately to try and get that speed.
Let's talk for a minute, though, the people that don't know, as we watch you running it on earlier this week. When you say trim, the fastest way to do that is to change the angle of the rear wing. Am I correct?
Yes, you have to kind of tip it back. But with that, although you'll go faster in a straight line, you lose what we call grip or downforce. And so that kind of makes the car feel very edgy or puts you on edge. And it's about getting a happy medium. You've got to be comfortable. You don't want to be sliding. But by the same token, Indianapolis means a lot. Even pole day, it's a race in itself. So you want to feature very, very strongly. But I think what is great this year, and I think we've seen it in the races on versus leading into this particular race, is the competition is so tight, and so you really have to get everything right. You've got to get that wing tip back as much as you possibly can without sliding. You've got to have the balance of the car, which the balance of the race car becomes even more important with conditions like this, because basically with the wind it accentuates any problems that you may have. So in American terms, I call it understeer and oversteer, but in American terms, if that car is pushing, it'll tend to probably push more in the wind, and if it's loose, it will tend to be more loose.
Do me a favor, let's post up Ryan Briscoe's pole run today and see if you can ferret out maybe what he did well. Here's the last lap in the Team Penske car, and Briscoe, as Tom Carnegie used to say, is really on it.
Yeah, Briscoe has seemed very, very good all month, as have both Penske cars. But where I felt watching him and Elio, where Briscoe perhaps did slightly better, was he didn't use up as much of his tires on that warm-up lap. Elio did a 2:23, and I think Ryan did a 2:21.9. And I think maybe the tires just held on, perhaps a little better than Elio's. But they both look incredibly comfortable, even at that speed. So it's kind of scary, because if you go out and get close, they've got something. But any time you're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you've got to be on your game to beat Roger Penske's organization. He's a class guy, but I'm hoping the National Guard Panther Racing car can feature up the sharp end.
When do you think we're going to see you today?
We're probably going to go out and run a few practice laps in a minute, and then we'll kind of assess from there. But John Barnes has been very committed this month. Actually, I saw a FedEx plane landing, and it had some development parts on the car.
I can't believe you got Barnesy to part with any money over the course of this season, but you say that's one of the major changes since you came to the team, is you've convinced him that in order to win, you've got to spend a little bit more money that maybe the team hasn't heretofore had.
Yeah, I think certainly National Guard has really been a big help this year in kind of ramping up Panther Racing's program, and I've certainly enjoyed being part of the National Guard. I got to tell you a quick story, Jack. It's really funny meeting a lot of the soldiers. Whenever you sit down and you meet them and you have a chat with them, the first thing they say to you is, "Man, you must be brave to do what you do." And I do a double take. I look around to make sure they're speaking to me, but what they do and some of the stories that I've heard, it's just an honor to be part of the program, and the fearlessness and strength of character. It's just an honor to represent them. But with that being said, John Barnes has really kind of stepped up the program, but it takes time. These Target Chip Ganassi Racing teams, Roger's team, they've been working at these fine details for a long time, and so it's going to take time. But John Barnes is definitely committed to getting that program right, and I'm definitely committed to hanging that car out there to do very well.
Hey Dan, this is Robbie up in the booth. Can you give us, just with what you've seen now with the conditions changing, have you gotten with John Barnes and kind of speculated on what that cutoff is to be in the top 11? I mean, do you got a speed time you can give us as we're speculating in the booth for the next 5 hours up here? Give us something?
That Robbie Bewley's very eloquent, isn't he?
You notice that?
He's great at this. Very opposite to you, Jack.
Dan,
Wow.
No, that's a good question, Robbie. I think certainly when you look at it, to be very safe, I think you're going to have to do around a 223 mile an hour lap. You just as the day goes on, I think people are going to become more and more brave with this wind and trim out a little bit. But it's so close that you've got to make sure that you're comfortably in well before the end of the day, because I think that's when times might start falling. But that's also by the same token when when people make mistakes. And at the end of the day, I've always I think since I drove with Michael Andretti here, and I learned a great deal from him, as I did when I was at Andretti Green with Tony, Dario and Brian Herder. It's great to be on the pole at this event.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the man for a week and a half, 2 weeks. But at the end of the day, they only remember you for 2 weeks. You win this race, you're remembered for a lifetime. And I've been very fortunate to win this race before, and I've seen what it's done for my career. And you'd think you'd be satisfied just winning it once, but I tell you what, you win this race, it makes you so hungry to win it. I'm getting a bit like Elio now. It makes you so hungry to win it again, and that's what we're working towards.
Hey, we know you got to get out and practice. We appreciate you stopping by and hope you'll come visit often. And I want to leave you with one thing here. That interview was worth,
guys, he's got a lot more than $1.
It was worth 10.
It was worth 10. Thank you. That's the most money I've ever seen in your wallet too. Thanks, Jack.
have a good afternoon, Dan.
Thank you very much.
So qualifying will continue here.